The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Hey, first and foremost, before we get into anything here on Locked On Canucks, I'm Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks. We got to send some love to the city of Vancouver and the Filipino community after one of the most horrific incidents that has ever happened in our city. It certainly rocked me the other night. Hearing about what happened, dozens injured, multiple people passed away. Just something that should never, ever happen. And it does seem like, thankfully not an incident of terrorism, but still just such an unfortunate incident. It's supposed to be such a beautiful day. And, I think we all got, great Filipino people in our life, right? My brother-in-law is Filipino, so many great friends that are Filipino. And this one rocked me, Kyle. And I know you felt very similar.
Oh, yeah, man. We say it all the time on the show, Locked On Canucks, look after your neighbors. Because, we breathe the same air. And, we're all Canucks. But in some way, shape, or form, I hope that we live in a world where we all treat each other like family, for real. And there's just love, and there's not these instances of just tragedy. And, this weekend was extremely, extremely sad. And also just prior to this moment, I would even say vibrant. The city just feels different. There's some good energy going around outside of the Canucks not making the playoffs. Good things are just happening. And man, just what happened Saturday night. Just condolences to all the families involved, to the Filipino community, to the South Van community, and just the people in general, man. For real, this is anyone could have been there. That's why it really rocked me, man. Trevor, I'm not gonna lie, I thought about you a lot because I'm like, this is the type of event where Trevor's like, let's pack up the van and let's go. My aunt with my two cousins, same thing. They were thinking of going. I had multiple friends at that event, either performing at that event or just volunteering. I went through a crazy time too because one of my close homies, who I work with, dude, this guy's phone was off right after the incident. I got home after I went to a great event downtown, Playground Series. They threw a great time. Again, the city's feeling vibrant. I get home, I find out that multiple people are dead at the event in South Van, and my friend's not picking up his phone. And it just shook me, man. It just shook me. And again, look after your neighbors. And just take it a step further too, man. If you feel as if somebody's just off around you, you got a friend that's down and out, or you haven't touched base with somebody and they're giving you off vibes, just check in, yo. Be a superhero in your own regard, and a lot can go in our favor with a simple "How are you?" Poke into the mind of those around you, and Trevor. A lot of people. I'll let you end off the little this little talk in the beginning of the episode with the response to this. But a lot of people are like, "Yo, Kyle, don't feel so deep about this because it's out of your control." You know what I'm saying? It's out of your control. It's hard, send your condolences, grieve, send your love, help out the community. By the way, there's a link in the bio to the Filipino BC Instagram account. Follow their resources when it comes to donating, because I was at the vigil yesterday evening, and the leaders amongst that community were like, a lot of people are setting up some bullshit GoFundMes that are mimicking a solution to help those who were affected by this. Just follow the Filipino BC account, and they'll give you the correct places to leave your donations. But all in all, a lot of people are like, a lot of this is out of your way. There's no way to control situations like this. And to me, Trevor, I'm not gonna lie, I don't find that correct, man. I think moving forward, it's 2025. Dude, a lot of this is in our control. I know things happen, but let's be proactive and let's be better neighbors. Better neighbors. It starts there. You walk by somebody, give them a hi, spread that love. Let's not keep our heads down and just ignore each other. Again, we're all neighbors, and condolences, man. This is it's a weird time in the city, man.
Yeah, no, 100%. No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think, all we can really do. I mean, of course, you have the funds to go donate. I mean, that's despicable that some people are setting up fake GoFundMe pages. That's beyond low. But Kyle, like you said, just go check on the people in your life, man. Just make sure they're okay. You never know what someone's going through, and sometimes just shooting someone a message, giving someone a hug, doing all you can to spread that love and spread some positivity to other people. Even here on Locked On Canucks, right? It might be so many positive things to talk about, but we do try to send out love and positivity to all of you tuning in to Locked On Canucks. So one love to Vancouver, One love to the Filipino community. One love to you and you and you. And let's get into the show here. You're listening to Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Canucks. I'm Trevor Beggs, as always, joined by my co-host Kyle Bowen. And man, oh man, the Vancouver Canucks coaching situation took another turn this morning with the announcement that the Pittsburgh Penguins and Mike Sullivan are parting ways after 10 seasons. And of course, casual fans know Mike Sullivan, again, hired by Jim Rutherford and Patrick Allvin. They thought incredibly highly of him. And Kyle, we're starting to hear reports today about Rick Tocchet and the reasons why he hasn't signed in Vancouver yet. So, Kyle, what were your thoughts this morning? And maybe just answer the question straight up. Is Mike Sullivan going to be the next head coach of the Vancouver Canucks?
Well, when I woke up to the news, I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. And then I heard Elliot Friedman talk about it, and he's pretty much saying it's mission impossible to get Mike Sullivan here because A, New York really wants him. B, Jim Rutherford is not that high on the back-to-back Stanley Cup winner from way back. Then, so I kind of closed the window down. But at the end of the day, you just never, ever, ever know. And supposedly this guy is in high regard still, even though the Pittsburgh Penguins have struggled in recent history. People like to think of this guy as, like the third best head coach in the league. It's like John Cooper and whoever else. And then it's Mike Sullivan, right? Right. And I'm like, okay, again, I could see the Canucks replace cachet with cachet. Mike Sullivan brings some pedigree, but again, why wouldn't he want to come here? Again, Elliot Friedman's given a list of reasons, and Vancouver, not that appealing right now. Not a slam dunk to just land the biggest head coach when you have one of the best players on your team. It just doesn't feel like it's going to be a fit.
Yeah, and it might go back to the money at the end of the day, right? And let's tie it into the report about Rick Tocchet as well. Elliot Friedman also reporting. Elliot Friedman, man, always stirring the pot here in Vancouver. But Elliot Friedman reporting, one of the big holdups for Rick Tocchet in terms of why he hasn't signed yet is the lack of a practice facility.
Oh my God, man. I hate that excuse, man. Like, what is going on? I know, I understand it's a big deal. And like the fundamentals of like implementing your plan as a coach, some of that hinges on, having available ice time. I understand it. But there's rec centers in Surrey, always available. Just go to UBC. I know it's a drive, but y'all millionaires. Y'all worried about gas and time? Y'all worried about your time when you got to strap up the ice skates and just, play a game and practice a game? A practice facility is going to get in the way of you coaching Vancouver, a team that gave you a chance, right, a couple of years ago, that destroyed their whole reputation when they fired Bruce Boudreau to bring you in, and you're like, oh, man, they don't have a practice facility. I don't know if I'm going to come back or not. I don't know about that, man. Rick Tocchet doesn't strike me as like that type of guy. I don't think it hurts his chances coming back to Vancouver. I just don't think he, I think he might be jealous of other organizations having practice facilities, but I don't think it's going to stop him from signing with Vancouver. I hope not, because if that's the case, I don't want that guy as a head coach.
Yeah, sometimes you got to wonder about how Elliot Friedman and other reporters hear about this stuff, right? It's like Rick Tocchet calling Elliot Friedman being like, I don't know about signing there because there's no practice facility. Or is he hearing someone saying, oh, Rick Tocchet, I don't know about Vancouver because of the lack of practice facility. Like, there is just something like not lining up there, Kyle. I tend to agree with you. Look, it's not a great look on the Canucks organization. It's not a great look on Francesco Aquilini for the fact that this isn't done yet. The Canucks should be like the other 30 teams in the NHL that do have a practice facility. But at the end of the day, if that's the main reason for not signing, I mean, that just doesn't add up. I do think it ties more into the Quinn Hughes situation. And everydayers know we talked about that last week. Does Rick Tocchet want to tie himself to a team if he thinks that the Canucks, franchise player is going to walk in 2 years? That I could see being more of a legitimate reason. But the lack of a practice facility, it shouldn't be even a secondary issue to me. It's probably tertiary. I mean, look, John Tortorella was commuting from freaking Point Roberts up to Rogers Arena, and he had no complaints, man. He signed a 5-year deal. So, yeah, I don't think the commuting should be a lack of an issue there.
Just drive your effing Ferrari to UBC or, 8 rinks. Just get it done. Honestly, man, this whole practice facility thing, again, I understand it. It's not an advantage. It's a disadvantage in comparison to the rest of the league, but I'm not here for the excuse. I'm really not. Like it's to me, it's bullshit. It is. Now I will say, Trevor, you brought this up last week, and I actually saw like a visual tweet of it. So I got to like, reading is really powerful for me. So when I read things, it kind of hits, right? And with Pittsburgh not having a coach right now, there's like 7 teams that don't have a head coach. And come on, Rick Tocchet, stay with Quinn Hughes. I know Quinn Hughes has 2 years left on his contract. Let's stop acting like he only has like 6 months, though. For real, it's like so depressing out here. There's no better option to me than just continuing to implement your systems here in Vancouver and stay here, and maybe have some success that convinces Quinn Hughes to stick around. Like, stay in Vancouver, because where else are you gonna go? Where else are you gonna go?
Yeah, and we talked about that already, right? Like the Tide of the Flyers, sure, he's a franchise legend there, but that team does not look like it's going anywhere fast. The New York Rangers are, just as dysfunctional as the Vancouver Canucks. The Boston Bruins, like they look like they were torpedoing towards a rebuild at the end of last season. And of course, the Pittsburgh Penguins, sure, they got Crosby and Malkin for now, but that has not been enough over the past couple of seasons. And again, not really much fault to Mike Sullivan. It's just the roster building there, trading away draft picks for years and years and years has caught up to that team big time. So I'll look at it this way with Rick Tocchet too. I mean, the guy made his money playing in the NHL. Sure, he wasn't making, Elias Pettersson money, but he made money playing in the NHL. Like, if you're Rick Tocchet, are you really like, I really want that 5-year deal paying $5 million a season because I need that money? I just don't feel like that's the case for Rick Tocchet. And if that is the case, get out of here. Get out of here. Like, I want people in Vancouver that bleed the blue and green, that want to be Vancouver Canucks, that want to help this team win a Stanley Cup. Not a guy chasing a fatter paycheck when he's already made millions of dollars playing a sport and coaching a sport. I don't want people like that in Vancouver. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily the case with Rick Tocchet, but if it is, the Canucks would be better off looking elsewhere.
I mean, Rick Tocchet does love Vegas, so it's like you don't know. Honestly, Trevor, I'm not even trying to poke fun at the guy. Like, we all have different things, different things that we're interested in, and it's not all about hockey. Like, maybe his recreational activities are so important to him, and if he likes poker and whatnot, he needs more money. And Trevor, at the end of the day, like, he went through a lot of bullshit this year, and he still understands that, like, there's so many uncertainties that like, he may need to get paid more just to stick around. And he did win Coach of the Year last year, right? So, like, he does have some cachet to earn himself, that type of deal. And if I'm Aquilini, like, again, don't you just want to implement the same culture and the same systems and all that jazz? Like, just keep things cohesive. I think it allows this team to just grow more smoothly. I know that's an assumption because we didn't make the playoffs this year, but they're just, like, just keep it together, okay? Not too much chaos. You're bringing a new coach, and it's like you got new assistant coaches and the new systems. Like, you want to piss off Quinn Hughes even more. Like, that's going to do something. All that being said, we just brushed on it slightly, okay? And I just want to touch on it again because I'm trying to get the landscape of, like, who's available to replace Rick Tocchet if that's the case. Like, why is Mike Sullivan so regarded? Okay, I know he's got like a 60% point percentage. He's a good head coach. Don't get me wrong. He's a strong head coach, but he's going to be an expensive head coach. And would you rather have Rick Tocchet or Mike Sullivan? I guess that's what I'm trying to ask you right now, because I brought the whole cachet for cachet thing. Like, I think that matters in a city like Vancouver, but at the end of the day, it's all about the results. And yeah, who would you rather have, Mike Sullivan or Rick Tocchet?
Yeah, between the two, I'd rather have Mike Sullivan.
Whoa, talk about it.
Yeah, well, I think it's for a couple of reasons. I mean, look what he did with that Pittsburgh Penguins team when they won back-to-back Stanley Cups, specifically the second Stanley Cup, which they won with no Chris Letang. I think that his coaching style, I mean, I need to dive into the X and O's maybe a bit more, but, he plays a pretty aggressive coaching style, a little bit more aggressive than Rick Tocchet does. But I think he's a good motivator as well. And you saw that from, what he was doing with the Pittsburgh Penguins defense during that time when Rick Tocchet was on the staff as well. So look, I think he squeezed a lot of juice out of that Pittsburgh Penguins team for a long time. The playoff success, of course, hasn't been there in a few seasons now. But look, I think he's done a really good job, motivating guys over the years. And there was a reason why he was the coach there for 10 seasons. And I think, even over the past couple of seasons, maybe even this one, man, I think goaltending was the main thing that let Pittsburgh down this year. But I think he squeezed a lot of juice out of that team over the past few seasons. And look, the playoff misses are disappointing for them. But that has to do with the roster construction to me more than Mike Sullivan. Like, when I watched the Pittsburgh Penguins play, It's not like they're not playing hard. It's just that they're lacking talent aside from their guys that are, almost 40 years old, right? For Crosby, Malkin, and Letang. So yeah, I prefer Mike Sullivan over Rick Tocchet. I think his coaching style is, a bit more with it in today's NHL than Rick Tocchet's is. Not to say Tocchet's a terrible coach. I like what we did in Vancouver this season, but between the two, I'd rather have Mike Sullivan.
I heard Matt Sakara say the same thing too. And, I had to ask you the question because you're more of like the NHL centric guy. And I'm pretty high on Rick Tocchet. That all being said, if he does go, I just hope that they can replace him with somebody as good, if not way better. Right. That's what the city deserves. And I feel as if that's not going to be an easy task. And, especially with like what's going on with this team, there's so many uncertainties. Like, why would a coach want to come back here too? You don't know if Quinn Hughes is sticking around for more than 2 years. Like who's Pettersson, right? We don't know. Like it's a lot. All that being said, look at what Green's saying. Okay, every team has bullshit. Ours just got aired out, which again, Rutherford and Alvin got to take some blame for because they did way too much of that this year. But coaches get paid to deal with the BS, right? Speaking of BS, Rick Tocchet, you're gonna get paid to deal with not having a practice facility. Like, dude, I'm moving to Alberta because the Canucks don't have a practice facility at this point. Stop it. Stop it. Let's just try doing something magical. I want a head coach that's going to stick around here no matter what, because he knows there's an opportunity with one of the best players in hockey. I know there's a lot of noise here, but you're coaching in Vancouver, Canadian market. Like, yo, lean into that. Let's figure this out and talk it. If you leave the Vancouver Canucks 12 months after, you're like, oh, we brought coolness back to the city. That crest, that logo in front of the jersey, it's cool again. And 12 months later, you're bouncing because you, alongside the other leaders on this team, couldn't handle the BS. Again, well, what are we really losing then? Someone not fit for the job.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, Tocchet, if he's not sold in Vancouver, I'm not sure if he's ever going to be sold in Vancouver. And in that case, good riddance, mother. What? Okay, we're not going to go there. All right, let's get a break here. On the other side, I do want to touch on two things. One would be if Tocchet resigns in Vancouver, the path that he could take. I think the deal that probably makes the most sense for him. And the second one would be why I think Mike Sullivan may still become the head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. Let's touch on that on the other side. You listen to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every damn day. We'll be back on the other side after shouting at our friends over at Monarch Money. Man, do you ever check your bank account and wonder where the hell did all my money go? Between the Ubers, the dining out, the online shopping, the entertainment, between buying pizza from my buddy Kyle Bowen, it's easy to lose track of speed. Monarch Money comes in handy. Personal CEO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money, it isn't just a budgeting app. It's a financial commitment center. You can account investments and
Okay, you know what? We're gonna remove Trevor from this damn broadcast because he can't even. Like, what happened to the internet connection there? We'll shout out Monarch Money on the other side. Again, you're listening to Locked On Canucks. Okay, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Canucks. Apologies to Monarch Money. We could not give you a good shout out because Trevor, he does the ad reads, he knows the products, and his internet sucks. Okay, his internet sucks. He's still frozen. Like, get out of here, Trevor. Anyways, let's continue the conversation about your Vancouver Canucks. Man, again, so much noise. I know we still have to get into it. The still elaborating on the whole Tocchet situation and what's going to happen because there's going to be a decision very soon. Like, I know, what's his name again? Deepak Roberts III. He said, oh, Tocchet's going to sign by Friday, and it didn't happen. Well, based on what I'm hearing today, the decision might happen by tomorrow morning. Like, we're going to find out. It's going to be groundbreaking news here in Vancouver. Like, the future of the team, it's going to shift one way or another after tomorrow. Speaking of the future of the team, there was an article written about Tom Willander by Cam Robinson, okay? And I read the article. And I'm still mad at Tom Willander. I spent years and 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 decades being disappointed in the Vancouver Canucks. And, over the last couple of months, their quote-unquote cheapness, right? Whatever that means. It's been on quote-unquote full display when it comes to, paying bonuses, possibly needing to pay Tocchet this much money, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? right? And people like to talk about the lack of money this team is shelling out to their players and their staffs, and that we don't got a practice facility, we don't got new seats at Rogers. We just played $11.6 million for Elias Pettersson. We signed this guy after he was struggling for a month. We extended him, believed in him. 11.6 going into this season, he was like the 6th highest paid player in the league. Okay, this is after you locked down JT Miller for a lot of years too. They're spending the money. They're spending the money. Okay, I just don't want to give all the blame to the Canucks in regards to this Tom Willander situation. Trevor Beggs, I think Tom Willander, and dude, give credit where credit is due. Shout out for being confident. Cool. But in a season that is so noisy, and for you to be the youngest Canuck, right, on the depth chart, right, one of them, for you to be moving like this and doing interviews and stuff, dude, like this team, this franchise did not need all this noise. Now, maybe it's self-induced thanks to Alvin and Rutherford, not being clear with the media, like what's going on with the situation. But I do not like the way Tom Willander is moving right now. Like he's giving me like Eric Lindros vibes, and less is more. Less is more, and I think it's time for him to shut up.
And man, oh man, I like the fire that you're saying with Tom Willander right now. I mean, look, the way I looked at it with Tom Willander is obviously by the time his season finished, he wasn't going to play NHL games. And, maybe he just, wasn't super enthralled with the idea of going to Abbotsford, right? So maybe he just left it in the hands of his agent. He's like, I'm going to go focus on school. I'm going to go join Team Sweden for the World Championships, play some exhibition games, and figure out this contract. And maybe there's a deadline that we just don't know about too, right? So, look, it is a very bizarre situation. I'm not sure if I'm putting as much blame on Willander as you are. I mean, we're talking about a kid who's 20 years old. Again, maybe he's got a good situation. He's finishing school and, playing for Team Sweden at the World Championships. Like, those aren't bad places to be for a defender of his age. So, look, if this drags on to, the draft and after the World Championships, then I think it starts becoming an even bigger issue, because I think if this guy's not signed by right before the draft, you got to consider using him as a trade chip, because it doesn't really make sense to keep him around for another season when he's ready to turn pro. And, you watch this guy play, he is absolutely ready to turn pro. So, look, I don't know, man, maybe I'm just smoking that West Coast bias, and I'm not as angry towards Tom Willander as you are, but, I'm willing to see how this plays out heading into June, because it'd be nice to see him in the AHL playoffs. That's where he should be, but also him playing with, Team Sweden at exhibition games, the World Hockey Championships, is not necessarily a bad thing either.
Look, man, again, maybe this is exactly what Canucks management wanted, right? Like, okay, we're going to trade Tom Willander and people are going to be pissed at it, so we might as well make Tom Willander look bad before we do so, right? Make him look like a POS, or just make him look ungrateful. Because you're the 11th overall pick. I'm sorry, dude. This guy's moving like a generational player. Relax, dude. Again, if you feel it, I just think it's necessary for him, being one of the youngest members of that team, potentially on the Canucks next season, to just like go in smoothly and not be one of these guys that made a ton of noise prior to it all happening, right? Why are you doing an interview? Come on, what's going on? Just more drama. This team has so much drama now. If 11th overall pick from 2 years ago, saying, oh, we're nowhere close to this contract getting done. What the puck, man? Are you serious? That's on paper. Like, This city, let alone the Quinn Hughes and company, did not need that. They don't need that. But we just got it. And those little things, don't get me wrong, like, all the noise matters when it comes to anyone making a decision regarding their future with the Vancouver Canucks. And Tom Willander, the 11th overall pick, this guy hasn't even played a pro game. He's acting like this. Right? And there's some pundits out there saying that this guy didn't even take a step forward this year with Boston. He's still good. Doing his thing. He's still a quality player. But it's like, dude, just like slow your roll, man. That's the problem with this generation, man. That's the problem with this generation these days. So ungrateful, player empowerment, blah, blah, blah. You got a chance to play with Quinn Hughes next year, possibly. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The hockey players these days, Tom Willander will have to play 2 years on his ELC before he can sign an extension. Bro, in most cases, if you're paired up with Quinn Hughes, or you're playing on a team, if you're really that good, after 2 years, you're going to sign like an 8-year deal worth like $9 million per year, $8 million per year. With the cap going up, you never know. So just slow your roll and stop causing drama. Stop causing drama. Again, if you felt this way and people are putting the pieces together and the agents are talking, like, why are you doing an interview now? It's obviously to save his image. I know. His reputation across the league as an individual talent. I know. But it's like this team. You look at it from that situation, like this team that drafted you, right? You earned it. Don't get me wrong. But the team that drafted you went through so much noise this year, and you're like, okay, let's add to it. Let's add to it.
Well, I think the Quinn Hughes point you makes a really astute one, Kyle, because it really highlights both sides of the equation here. Like, this guy could play with Hughes, bet on himself, say screw the $200K that we're fighting over, and get paid big in a couple seasons. On the flip side, he could be looking at the bonus side of things with his agent and saying, I'm going to play with Quinn Hughes potentially. I should be getting as many bonuses as possible now. That's after Elias Pettersson came out and said he wanted to get paid more than William Nylander. I'm not sure if I want another guy on my team, chasing the dollars to that extent.
Me
just
too.
bet on yourself and go play hockey. So,
Me too.
but I think I'm just willing to let this play out a little bit longer in terms of, really coming up with like a F. Nylander kind of mentality on this, because, we're still early days past the season. I'd say as we get closer to the draft, that is really the where the unofficial clock starts ticking on, Nylander in Vancouver. Kyle, let's cut to break here. I got about 8-9 minutes left here on the show. I didn't want to touch on Tocchet something to the side. We'll see if I glitch out again on this ad read. You listen to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every damn day. Let's talk about dead nuts, baby. Man, oh man. The only things I love more than my family, Kyle Bowen and Locked On Canucks, are my nuts. No, I'm just kidding. The nuts I love the most are the ones from wonderful Pistachios, because it's the snack that's both delicious and nutritious, baby. And it's a good source of protein. Kyle, I know when you left the show, you were having nothing but pistachio smoothies with bananas, right? That was the only thing you ate. Can you confirm?
Salty nuts and big bananas in my mouth, down my throat, into my bloodstream.
Nothing better, buddy. Nothing better. And when you're packing that smoothie up, it's the nuts from wonderful Pistachios, man. Because each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you keeping fuller for longer. Now, you know that I like those naked nuts in my mouth, and no shells variety. Kyle Bowen's also the same, man. He's gonna be cracking nuts before putting them in his smoothie. Come on, man.
I want them warm. I want them warm and ready.
But if you do like that tease, the in-shell options are also a classic favorite. So whatever nuts you like, make sure you get snackin' and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
Let's also give a shout out to Monarch Money, okay? Because you were glitching the whole time. They're going to sue us if we don't, okay? One love to Monarch Money.
Oh, let's do it right now. Okay, Monarch Money. Yeah, our friends over at Monarch Money, okay? If you know what? If you are, spending all your money away on Ubers and dining out, buying your homies pizza, you need to go to Monarch Money, okay? Because they're not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building your wealth, okay? And Monarch Money, they don't just help you manage your wealth. They help you make your relationships better, baby, because man, oh man, managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. So you know what that means? Managing money through Monarch Money with your partner equals more lovemaking, baby. Let's go.
Whoa.
So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off of your first year, baby.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks and reading your comments here again on Locked On Canucks. Okay, Smirky Mixer saying stop the drama and stop talking about Nylander. And JS says saying he seems to value his education pretty highly. Maybe he wants to be patient. Don't see why this has to signify drama. Kyle, stop being a drama queen. Kyle, you're so annoying. Kyle, shut the puck up. That's what I'm hearing. But bro, this guy did an interview, and I didn't see anything about this guy being like, oh, I can't wait to take econ 4040, like fourth year econ. No, I didn't hear that. I heard we're not close to a contract, and he wanted to go pro. But he wanted to, let Cam Robinson get his biggest piece of the year. I'm surprised this guy didn't talk to Ian McIntyre. It's okay for me to want my players, especially the young ones, the youngest ones, who are 11th overall picks, right? Like, nobody else is really talking about Tom Olander. Let's be honest. He's good. He has room to grow. I'm just saying he's not like the top dog, top prospect in the NHL, not playing in the NHL, right? Am I right? Yeah. I want guys like that just shutting up. Okay? Causing less drama. Now, Trevor, you know about me. You know a lot about me, okay? I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, okay? This is a good point. Jordan Love got drafted to be the backup for years and years and years, okay? And Aaron Rodgers was talking about ayahuasca and talking about this and that and being the biggest podcaster in NFL history and barely talked about winning a Super Bowl and was causing all this drama. And what did we hear from Jordan Love, who had to wait and wait and wait? We heard nothing from Jordan Love until he got a shot and he proved a point and he signed the most expensive contract in NFL history. That's how I like my young players to move. That's okay. This guy's the 11th overall pick. Let's stop treating this guy like he's Connor McDavid or Eric Lindros. He's making way too much noise. And the Canucks are too, don't get me wrong, but Tom Olander's a part of that equation as well.
Yeah, it's almost like a lose-lose situation from both sides of it here. So, one thing I do want to touch on later this week are the potential Tom Olander trades. I mean, to me, that's the most intriguing element of all this is if he doesn't sign, what can you get for this guy? So we will dive into that this week on Locked On Canucks. Do want to make a couple points on Rick talking to Mike Sullivan as well. Man, oh man, because let's get back to the comments, man. People want to talk about this or not. Who knows? Smirky Mixer in the comments saying, hey, well, at least we're off to Mike Sullivan BS. Well, I'm bringing it back, baby. And Brian Asu in the comments saying, afternoon, fellas, Rick is signing tonight. Let me just quickly on Rick Tocchet first. So, I think what might make most sense for Rick Tocchet, because, look, the direction of this team right now is iffy. And, he could sign long-term and get fired and blah, blah, blah. He still gets the money, he still gets the security. But what might make most sense for Rick Tocchet on both sides would be signing a 2-year deal. Tie yourself to the 2 years that Quinn Hughes is left in Vancouver and see what you can do with this team, okay? Bet on Quinn Hughes. Bet on the management team who you've worked with for the better part of a decade to try to turn this thing around. And if it doesn't work out, then man, oh man, and then you'll hopefully have another opportunity after that. So I could see where Rick Tocchet would want the security. But, if he flames out in Vancouver, I'm not sure how much blame he might get for that. Again, we're looking forward here, but I think Rick Tocchet, people have seen what he did in Vancouver this year through a tumultuous season. I don't think people have soured on Rick Tocchet. That's why he's popping up on these coaching lists. But man, oh man, Rick Tocchet, if you're iffy on Vancouver, but there's some intrigue in staying, sign a 2-year deal. And with Mike Sullivan,
I like that.
The similar argument for him coming here would be, what are the better situations out there, right? And the Boston Bruins pop up. He's a Massachusetts guy, but he also got fired by the Boston Bruins almost 20 years ago now. Of course, it'd be funny if he went to the Flyers after coaching Pittsburgh for a long time, but that's not an attractive situation.
Apparently the Rangers really want him. That's what I heard.
Yeah. And maybe that is probably the most likely landing spot for Mike Sullivan, in my opinion. One interesting wrinkle to all this, I know Rick Tocchet and Mike Sullivan worked together in Pittsburgh there. But Mike Sullivan did also inherit Rick Tocchet. And of course, they made some magic. Pittsburgh won back-to-back cups. But another interesting wrinkle that people don't know about, Rick Tocchet more or less replaced Mike Sullivan in Tampa Bay back in the day too. So Mike Sullivan was an assistant coach in Tampa Bay, then an associate coach, and then got let go. And Rick Tocchet got brought on as an assistant. And Rick Tocchet eventually became head coach there as well. So maybe Mike Sullivan's thinking, maybe we'll go replace Rick Tocchet because he replaced me once in Tampa Bay. So just a small wrinkle that people maybe aren't thinking about.
Yeah. Crazy, man. Crazy. There's one more comment I want to get to before we get out of here too, but I want to touch on the Tocchet thing as well. Just a bit more. Again, Tocchet came into this season. Can we talk about this too? Again, I'm a big Rick Tocchet fan. I believe in him and I trust him. Okay. But Rick Tocchet came into this year, and I know he had to deal with Miller and Pettersson, and he wasn't really set to deal with that. And that's probably the biggest reason why he was wrong. Oh, what was Tocchet wrong about? This guy spent all offseason talking about how we're going to produce more offense. We're going to open it up. We're going to do this and that and blah, blah, blah. And he did not execute. And let's put some blame on him for the whole Miller and Pettersson situation. You didn't resolve it. Yet you want to be paid like the highest paid head coach, or you want to be that guy? You want to be that dog? Oh, you want a practice facility? Dude, you didn't execute. You know what I'm saying? So, again, I'd be disappointed in Rick Tocchet thinking like he deserves better options completely when it's like you started something with the Canucks and you talked a lot. You talked highly like what you were trying to do here in the city and its culture. Like last May, and it's like you're gonna leave us after one dramatic year. Anyways, next comment. Look at this comment from Lane, and he's correct here. Okay, moving forward, the Tocchet and the Willander thing has prolonged longer than me and Trevor expected, and that's because Trevor and I, and because of that, I feel as if Trevor and I haven't really been able to really do Locked On Canucks the way we want to do it moving forward, and that's covering the NHL, okay, and it's playoffs. Trevor, I told you this on Friday when we went to that Lane Tame Impala Cup. We got robbed. I feel like suing the Hollywood Theater.
100%.
We got robbed. I feel like suing the Hollywood Theater for making me pay $60 to get into that building with Trevor and giving us no Tame Impala. That being said, I did tell you that I've been watching more playoff hockey than ever because normally when the Canucks are done, I'm done. And I want to cover the NHL playoffs, Trevor. I don't want to cover all this bullshit drama, boom, bam, boom. I hope Tocchet situations gets covered, the Willander thing, and we can just talk about hockey again. Because Trevor, without the Canucks, I'm loving the game right now. I am. I'm not lying. Without the Canucks, I'm entertained, and that's what the Oilers coming back 2 straight times to break my heart because I was hoping they would be swept by the weekend's end. But all in all, the NHL's in a good place, man.
Yeah, 100%. I know. I've definitely been watching almost all the games, and yeah, the Oilers coming back sucks. You know, watching Lane Hudson try to do Quinn Hughes like things and failing. I mean, look, as a rookie, I think that guy's going to be a really, really special player. But just some great hockey overall right now. Tampa and Florida now heating up. Every Western Conference series tied at 2-2. I mean, look, the NHL hockey is in a great place, and you know, Lane Stanley's point, that is the goal. Let's talk more NHL hockey in the days and weeks here ahead. Locked On Canucks. Quick shout out as well to the Abbotsford Canucks. 5-0 win over Tucson, making it off to round 2 against the Coachella Valley Firebirds, the Seattle Kraken's AHL affiliate. So that should be a fun series as well. And then last but not least, I want to shout out this comment from JS. Let's see some constructive ideas here. The negativity doesn't really help too much at all. And I think that's why we suggested the Dylan Larkin potential trade for your Vancouver Canucks on the Friday episode. But yeah, that's the stuff I love the most, or constructive ideas about how the Canucks can get out of this tumultuous situation and make the team better, because that's what it's all about, baby. But for now, we got to get out of here. Thanks for tuning into Locked On Canucks. If you like what we're doing, go subscribe and like on YouTube on the podcast. Go follow us, leave a 5-star review. One love to each and every one of you. Love your neighbors. One love to the city of Vancouver. One love to the Filipino community. And appreciate you for tuning in to Kyle Bowen and myself here on Locked On Canucks.
Your Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.